What's going on, guys? In today's episode of Minnesota Motors, we're going to install a 4-inch lowering kit in the rear of my 1976 F150. Before we get started, I'm just going to measure where we're at right now. It looks like to the bottom of the fender lip, we're at about 32 1/4. So once I put this lowering kit in, we should be at about 28 1/4. So here's all the parts I'm using. I've got drop hangers, drop shackles, new shocks, new bolts, and new mounting hardware for the hangers. My hangers came with grade 5 hardware. I decided to go and buy grade 8 stuff from a hardware store. And I will put a description to all these parts below. The leaf spring bolt on the passenger side front hanger is seized, so we're just going to start on the rear for now, and we'll worry about the front later. Here's the bolt that's seized. It needs to spin before you remove it. Otherwise, you're going to have to pull the leaf spring and just push it out and replace the bolt and the bushing. Here's the rear of the truck. This one spins, which is good, and it spins on both sides. This one is seized, but I can cut that because we don't need it. I'm actually going to be cutting both of these bolts. This bolt right here needs to be pushed that way to remove it, and there's just not enough room to do that without removing the hanger as well, and I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to just cut it here, and then cut it here, and cut here, and cut here. And then we'll be able to remove the shackle and install the new one. I have the truck resting on jack stands. The rear axle is just hanging freely, there's nothing underneath it. And then I've put a bottle jack with a piece of wood kind of pushing the rear axle down because this spring is under tension and I know it's going to shoot up if I don't have any downward pressure. So I guess it's time to start cutting. The bottom part of this shackle just took me way longer than the top. I actually had to cut through the bushing part of the way, or the steel sleeve part of the bushing, so you can see, and cut through that bolt. And then I got about 3/4 of the way through, and then I grabbed a breaker bar and just snapped it off. Did the same thing on this side. And make sure you're using some like really good Sawzall blades. I got a 5-pack of these Diablo ones, and I mean I used a couple of them, so yeah. Next, just take the new shackle, put it in here like so. After you have the bottom bolt in, put your floor jack underneath your rear axle and start jacking it up until the bolts line up. There we go. Alright, just let the rear axle down. Alright. I did the exact same thing over on the driver's side, but over here I ended up replacing this hanger. Rock Auto and all the auto parts stores will say that they don't sell the right hanger, but the part number is 722-100. That's a Dorman part, and it's actually, they list it as fitting like a 90s F150, but it's the exact same part. It's a hanger, and then it also comes with a stock height shackle. I got mine from Advanced Auto Parts for 45 bucks. Toss the wheels back on just to see where we're at, and we were at 32 1/4 before. Now we're at 31 3/4. So the body only dropped 1/2 inch, and that really sucks. But rear axle is definitely raised up higher. I had to chop my exhaust off because it was resting on the rear axle now. But yeah, only 1/2 inch on the body, so that's really unfortunate. So it's been about a month and a half since I did the shackles, and it's been so long because this bolt right here is seized in the bushing. I was able to get the other one out and it's loose, but on this side I think we're going to cut the head off right here and then put a bunch of washers on the back and try and turn the nut and tighten it and force the bolt out. Got the head cut off. Now I'm gonna just grind it down a little bit and then we can pull it out. So what we're gonna do is take all these washers, put them on the back side of the bolt, and then tighten the nut, and theoretically that should force the bolt out this way. I got the bolt about halfway out, and then the nut is seized on the threads now and I can't get it to turn. So we're gonna cut it now. Didn't film it, but I did get the bolt off. I cut about, well, pretty far through it, and then smacked it with a hammer a bunch of times, and it broke. Voila. Now that I have the leaf spring off, I need to remove this hanger here, and to do that I need to cut an X into the head of this rivet, chisel it off, and then punch it out. And there's 2 here and 2 on the other side. And I could probably cut the rivets and chisel the head off, but back behind the toolbox right here, I'm not going to be able to get the air hammer in to punch those 2 out. So I'm going to go ahead and start removing this toolbox. There's just a bunch of Phillips screws that hold it on. After you get the screws out, there's going to be 4 rivets that hold this on. One right here, one here, one here, and one right there. So just pop this out of here now. And now we have plenty of room to work and get that hanger off. Next, I'm going to cut the rivet heads off. Normally I like to make an X through them, but on these bottom ones here I can't really do that. So I'm just going to make a couple slots through them, and then we'll chisel the heads off after I cut those slots. Now I have an air hammer and a sharpened chisel bit, and we are going to use this to punch the heads off. Now I'm just going to clean this area up real quick. Now we bust the bracket off. Got it. I've got all the rivets out. Now I'm going to try and get this leaf spring bushing out. I'm going to start by getting this inner portion out. Now I'm going to cut the steel sleeve right here that is stuck in the leaf spring. Try and pry it out. I don't know if that'll work. Now that we got the old leaf spring bushing out, we're going to install the new one. This is MOOG part number K200129. I got it for a whopping $4.74 on advancedautoparts.com. If you order online, you get a 25% discount, and I had a $5 off coupon. So let's get that bushing installed. I'm going to just lubricate this a little bit. Put it in here like so. Now that I got the frame cleaned up, it's time to install the new front hanger and then reinstall the leaf spring. All right, go ahead, Mr. Expert.
Am I getting close? I have no idea.
A little more, and we're in like the same spot. Stop. Now that I got the suspension reassembled, I just need to reinstall the toolbox and then we'll be done. I replaced the rivets that were holding the toolbox on with some bolts and screwed that back in, reattached the door, put the wheels back on, and it's time to measure and see where we're at. Okay, so that looks like about 29 1/4. So I got about a 2.5 inch drop with my 4-inch drop kit. That's not bad, I guess. Better than nothing. Let's pull it outside and see how she looks. I think the truck looks pretty good. It still has a little bit of a rake in the rear, but I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I still need to rebuild the front suspension, so that might raise it up just a little bit. But the truck is looking fairly level now. Before, the rear was just sky high and it looked a little goofy, but pretty happy with the way it turned out. That's gonna do it for this episode, guys. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.